Well, we're here for another tutorial for HTML, and the last one that we did was the tutorial for lists, and I wanted to show a few more things with lists without making the last tutorial last too long, so uh, hopefully you found this one if there was other things you wanted to do with lists. So I saved this. I called it advanced lists, even though they're not really advanced. This isn't anything that's really hard, but just to call it that. And using our template from earlier, we can put everything inside of that. So the title, I'm just calling it advanced lists. Still putting this in my tutorials folder. And here's a few things that we can do. So continuing along with our unordered lists, there's a few things we can do to change how those look. And so here we'll put this paragraph element up here again, and then I'll say advanced unordered lists. Alright, and here's one on here we can use in terms of this. We could use our UL tag, and we can close this up and put it underneath. And if you remember last time, that's just how we did that, but we can actually change the style for these. So here's what we're going to do for this. We have UL up here, and we're going to add a style tag to it. So UL style equals quotation marks, and then we can choose list style, and then, or I'm sorry, list style type, and then we can put in a colon after that, and we can choose how we want that to look. So one of the options that we can use is a square. Alright, and then I have a semicolon and then quotation marks to close that thing up. Alright, and then the rest of it works just like it did when we did our regular lists. Okay, so alright, I have this right here, and I'm just gonna put a couple examples here. So we'll say item, item, and item. Alright, so let's click save and run this into a browser. And you can see up here advanced and ordered lists. If you remember last time, just by default we had the bullets. Now we have some square items up here to look at for this example. Alright, so another one we can do is we can use like empty circles instead of the filled bullets. So I'm just going to copy this right here. Alright, and the only thing that I'm going to change this time around is I'm going to change the list style type. Instead of a square, oops, is I'm going to switch that up to circle. Alright, let's save and run it, and you can see right here how we have those. So you can change the bullets for those, which makes that kind of nice if you want to add a little variety for your lists. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to show you was you can also change up how you do your numbering lists as well. So let's put another paragraph to label this one. And inside this one we will just call this one advanced ordered lists. Alright, and what we can do for this one is we could go with our ordered list tag. Okay, and then we'll close that up, and then we'll we'll add a style to this ordered list tag. So OL, and then we'll type in style equals, and then list style type. This is all pretty repetitive, so that makes it easier to remember. And then I'm going to put a colon after that, and this time instead, because by default it just did numbers if you remember, I can use upper alpha, and then here we'll go with our lists. Okay, and then again, I like kind of what we did before. I'm just going to copy this, and I'm just going to put in the word item for each of these, or whatever you want to type in yours. Alright, let's click save. Run it in a browser, and you can see here they're listed instead of 1, 2, 3, ABC. Alright, now again I'll show you one last thing with this. Another way that you could use ordered lists in a variety of ways. I'm going to paste this down into here, and this time instead of upper alpha for the list style type, let's use lower alpha. We'll click save, and we'll launch in Chrome, and you can see here it lists them in lowercase. So that's something that you can do to add a little variety. The last list, and this is actually an unordered list that we're going to use, but we're using it in a different way than we did with the bullet points, so I'll put it down here, is we can make basically a styled inline list. Okay, so let's go here, paragraph, and we'll label this on here for us so that it looks good, and we'll call this styled inline list. Sometimes you might want your list to go sideways to be more like buttons or items on a navigation menu or something like that. So here's how we can do that. Like I said before, this is an unordered list, so I'm going to use my UL tag here. Alright, and I'll close it up down here. Okay, and on this one we're not actually changing the style to the UL tag. Instead, we're going to add a style to our list item tags here. So let's do this first one here, for example. Okay, so just like we normally would, okay, we have a list here, and it's just going to say item like what it did above. Alright, and we can actually even number these just to have that. Okay, but here's what we're going to do. We want to add a style to this component right here. So li, and just like we normally would do, li style equals quotation marks display colon inline. Alright, and then we're going to add a few other tags to it too. So let's give it the background color of black, and then let's give the text color white. Alright, and then we're going to go with padding of 10 pixels, and then close our quotation marks. Alright, so that's a lot of things to type on here for this one style, but I mean, obviously if you have these, then you're just going to copy and paste, and then you can just change the text for your items as you go through that. Alright, and we can click save here, and now if we go to run and we launch into a browser, you can see right here that these items have the black square around the outside, and it's just kind of another way how you can add items in a list form to your web page in kind of a more creative way that makes things kind of pop off the screen a little bit more. So hopefully you can find these advanced list techniques useful for your web page, and we'll be using these on our web assignments as we move on through the course. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you learned something.